Welcome back to Something About a Pie. I'm Jason Hennig, and today we're going to talk about the battle that was won by a man holding up his arms. So, our setting is after the Israelites have come out of Egypt as slaves. Well, I guess they're not slaves anymore. They wandered out of Egypt, which makes them not slaves. They wandered around the Sinai desert for a while, which, if you don't know, is right in here. The Sinai desert, much to the difficulty of the Israelites, was, well, a desert, and it didn't have much water. There were over 600,000 Israelite men, that's not counting women and children, who all needed water to survive. They also had a lot of animals, so they needed a lot of water. The Israelites begged and moaned as loudly as they could, until Moses, who was currently leading them through the wilderness, told God he was fed up. So God had him break a rock, which Moses did a little more aggressively than he was supposed to, and he got in trouble. But that's not the point. The point is, water sprung up and created a well that was more than enough for what easily amounted to more than 1 million people and all their animals. This was great news for the Israelites, but the thing was, they weren't the only ones there. Sinai was inhabited by the nomadic Amalekites, who heard about this new well and wanted it for themselves. So they attacked. Now let's take a step back and ask the reasonable question. Where the heck did the Israelites get weapons? They had just escaped slavery, and it's not like people generally keep their slaves armed. So shouldn't this fight have been kind of a one-sided slaughter? When I was writing this episode, that question sort of bugged me. So I consulted scripture, and then I took the natural next step and consulted the Jewish rabbinical interpretations of the Old Testament. Turns out the answer's kind of right under our noses, or under the surface of the Red Sea, as it were. You see, the Israelites hung around after the Egyptians chased them and met their watery end when God unparted the waters, which we've talked about a number of times across a number of videos. Hanging out on the shore, guess what washed itself up on the beach? Egyptian soldiers and all their stuff. So it wasn't a difficult task for the Israelites to snatch up some Egyptian weaponry. Debate about what period this would have occurred is, fierce. Since I have essentially no interest in poking that particular dumpster fire, let's talk generically about what that equipment looked like. Egypt across eras favored spears, bows, cudgels, or maces, and daggers. The inclusion of the sickle sword is also not unlikely. They usually had shields, helmets, and either banded leather armor or scale mail, with layered mail plates that resembled scales. They were also infamous for their chariots, which were documented as being part of the Egyptian chase of the Israelites, although the Israelites probably had little interest in dragging chariots along. On the other side of the battle lines, we know a similar amount of precious little about the Amalekite weaponry, the uncertainty of the exact time frame being one of the major reasons. However, we can say with relative certainty that their arsenal would have included bows, spears, daggers, and sickle swords. Due to their proximity to Canaan, they probably used figure-8 shields that gave them good visibility in battle. Due to both sides being nomadic peoples, it's unlikely that they consisted of any kind of actual combat divisions. While certain groups of people may or may not have trained together as a group, particularly on the Amalekite side, they probably did not, at this point in time, constitute a regular army. However, that's not to say that both sides were blindly incapable of intelligent combat. While the Israelites weren't particularly skilled in the art of warfare yet, their commander Joshua was an incredibly capable commander, and brought them toe-to-toe with the Amalekite forces. But they still had a serious disadvantage. They were, like I said, not trained in combat. But nevertheless, Moses confidently overlooked the battle from a hilltop, raising his staff above his head. And the Israelites were winning. But then Moses' arms got tired, so he put the staff down. And the Israelites started losing. Eventually, Moses raised his staff again, winning. Down, losing, up, winning, down, losing, up, winning. It went back and forth. After a while of this, a couple of Israelite leaders realized maybe they should just hold his arms up and they'd win. And it worked! Holding up Moses' arms gave the Israelites the edge. It fought back the Amalekites. So that was the battle won by holding up arms. We'll see you next time here on Something About a Pie. That's it. That's the end. Moses did the ancient T-pose. He T-posed the Amalekites to death. I'm Jason Hennig, and today we're going to talk about